A gang of men have been convicted for the theft of almost 1 million worth of cars and motorcycles in Coventry. Jason O'Farrell, Kian O'Shea, Deacon Cumberbatch, Tyrone Henn, and an 18-year-old who cannot be named due to a court order were all involved in stealing and selling on their vehicles between 2022 and 2023. They targeted luxury cars and motorbikes with a series of burglaries and carjackings and were charged with a total of 47 separate offences, police said. The group even contacted some of the people whose cars they had taken, offering to sell them back. Police said the investigation was one of the most extensive they had ever carried out in the city. Officers scoured social media footage and mobile phone messages for evidence, including images of a number of stolen vehicles. The messages uncovered included those sent by Henn to other members of the group, in which he complained that split in 2000 from a theft only left him with 400. Police said the total of 24 stolen vehicles had been recovered so far. Chief Superintendent Paul Drover said the men were among the most wanted offenders in Coventry. The thefts, burglaries and carjackings this group carried out had devastating impact on the victims, not just financially but mentally, he said. During the investigation, we really saw how brazen they all were, their casual attitude towards their offending. He added, taking these far prolific offenders off the streets will send out a strong message about how seriously we take vehicle crime. O'Farrell, 20, of no fixed address, O'Shea, 19, of Milverton Road, Coventry, and the 18-year-old pleaded guilty on the second day of their trial. Cumberbatch, 19, of Riley Square, originally pleaded not guilty but later changed his plea to guilty. Henn, 23, of Everton Road, pleaded not guilty but was convicted early this month at Warwick Crown Court. All 5 men will be sentenced in March. Here is another story for you as well. The 76-year-old ringleader of an armed robbery in which a police officer was shot dead almost 20 years ago has died in jail less than a year after he was sentenced. Tyrone Henn spent nearly 2 decades evading justice for his part in the killing of PC Sharon Beshinsky in Bradford on the 18th of November 2005. Henn was jailed for life in May for PC Beshinsky's murder, becoming the final member of the gang responsible for the armed raid to be convicted. PC Beshinsky was murdered on her daughter's 4th birthday while interrupting a robbery at a family-run Universal Express travel agents in Bradford, West Yorkshire, in November 2005. PC Beshinsky and her colleague PC Teresa Milburn were both unarmed, were shot at point-blank range by one of the 3 men who had just carried out the raid as he emerged from the door of the business. Khan had fled to Pakistan after the killing at the age of 57 and evaded justice until he was caught in 2020. In April 2024, Khan became the last of the 7 men involved in the robbery to be convicted. He was found guilty at Leeds Crown Court of murdering PC Beshinsky, as well as the 2 counts of possession of a firearm with intent to endanger life and 2 counts of possession of a prohibited weapon. Mr. Justice Hilliard jailed Khan for life with a minimum term of 40 years. During his trial, jurors heard Khan was the only one of the group who was familiar with the Universal Express and had used the firm in the past to send money to family in Pakistan. He flew to Pakistan 2 months after PC Beshinsky's death and remained at liberty there until he was arrested by Pakistani authorities in January 2020. He was then extradited to the UK in 2023. Sentencing Khan last year, Mr. Justice Hilliard detailed how Khan had a number of health ailments, including heart disease and back trouble, and said his physical condition will make custody hard to serve. He told Khan, "You will be inevitably spend the remainder of your life in custody, but that is a consequence of sentencing a man of your age for a crime of this particular gravity." In a statement to the court, Paul Beshinsky, who had been married to P.C. Beshinsky for 4 years when she died, said, "The way we lost Sharon was in the most brutal and callous and futile way. She never came home due to the actions and organisation of one person, Deacon Cumberbatch." Please like this video, please comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.
Defendant murdered Police Constable Sharon Beshinsky on the 18th of November 2005. She was 38 years old when she was shot and killed in the course of her duty in Bradford. She had been a police officer for 9 months by that time and had also served for 18 months as a police community support officer. She was married to Paul, and they had 2 children, Paul and Lydia. The 18th of November was Lydia's 4th birthday. Sharon had an older son from a previous relationship and was stepmother to her husband's 2 children from his previous relationship. The court has heard statements made by Paul Beshinsky and Lydia Beshinsky, which set out in moving terms the impact of Sharon's murder. The effects are still felt 18 years later by those who loved her and still mourn her loss. Sharon Beshinsky had been discussing her daughter's family birthday party with Teresa Milburn when they heard the call for assistance at Universal. And so we can say for absolute certain that her thoughts were for her family very shortly before she died. The robbers were aware of the arrival of the police. When the robbers came out of the premises, they saw the 2 officers on the pavement. 1 shot was fired at each officer from close range. Teresa Milburn could easily have lost her life too. A 3rd shot was fired to deter others in the vicinity from getting involved. It is sometimes said that the file in a case of murder is never closed. This case demonstrates that. The police here in West Yorkshire stuck to their task and never gave up. Diligent, painstaking and exemplary police work continued, out of the public eye and unknown to you. I commend them all for it. You were 57 years old at the time of the robbery. The effect of your departure from this country was that you had the rest of your 50s and all of your 60s at liberty when you should have spent those years in custody. That was a considerable advantage that you obtained for yourself, and it has a bearing on my approach to the fact that you are now being sentenced at the age of 75 with a number of almost inevitable health conditions. If you had been sentenced in 2006, you would still be serving any minimum term which would have been specified in your case as part of a sentence of imprisonment for life, and there would have been a large part left to run. You are responsible for the fact that you are being sentenced at the age of 75 and not at a younger age. You have had your younger and healthier years at liberty because you chose to leave the country to escape justice when you feared you were about to be arrested. I will make an allowance for your age and health because Schedule 21 provides that the court is to take account of mitigating features, but it cannot be an allowance that will make any practical difference. That is because I then have also to consider the aggravating factor, which is that you left the country to escape from justice and to remain at liberty, and are only being sentenced at an advanced age for that reason. Piran Dita Khan. For the murder of Sharon Beshanivsky, the sentence is one of imprisonment for life. The minimum term would be 40 years, but for the 1578 days I have already referred to, and which I shall deduct. That results in a minimum term of 35 years and 247 days, taking account of the seriousness of the offence.